date.
Cool.
So we're gonna have basically we're gonna
They
have a
all
long run of these.
they all go into the same category on YouTube, so it'll make sense to just have them dated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we can show off the game, I have to fix my compiler error.
Sweet.
Boom. Compiler error fixed. I
Pressing
should
the
just
shift
automate
press.
that. That's like so annoying that that breaks the build when you
Write code.
when IntelliSense adds a using statement to your file
It's so bad.
that you didn't mean. Yeah. I know I can like rein that in through the settings, but
Didn't I
my,
already
my, my
post?
attempts to do that so far have not worked.
Didn't I already post how to do that? Like, I feel like at some point I did.
So I can blame you for the ineffective steps because I did what you suggested, and it's still that weird stuff.
Huh.
Oh well. All right, builds. Time to build.
Check the channels and all that stuff. We are sweet. Let's change. Remove this restream IO thing from the description. It'd be so much better if they just put it at the bottom. I mean, I realize they want me to pay to get rid of that, but no, it's not made for kids. Save. Good times.
All right, build succeeded this time.
Dope.
All right. Yeah, I've been killing pigs.
You've been killing pigs?
Yeah.
Nice. That's where it's at.
Just gonna collect all this stuff because that's gratifying. Oh no, I don't have any dump tickets. All right, so since the last meeting, we added a lot of features to the meta loop, where you can go from one yard to another. So to queue that up, I've got. Oh, I'm not taking those. Queue that up. I'm going to put some things in my van. Put that giant butcher stall in there. I want probably a couple of these. I want to be able to make food. How much space do I have left? Not much. What else should I take? Maybe one of these.
You mean one of
No, actually, these are probably the hardest things to get. The composters. And one left. It's got to be the magnet. Don't forget your magnet. All right, my van is packed up with stuff that I want to keep.
Oh, you're taking the stall with you, baller.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm taking the whole thing. All right, ready to move to a new yard. Just sign below. Your current inventory will be audited. Achievements will be awarded. That part's a lie. We haven't done that work yet. And then these boxes you got to check. If you don't check these boxes and try to sign here for a new yard, you get a pop-up. Your application is rejected. You must check those boxes to certify that you have loaded your van with the items you want to carry with you to the next yard. You say it should say contract rejected.
No, I'm saying it is a contract. I'm saying that's cool. Fine print.
All right, and then it's not a click button; it's a hold it down button, like we talked about. Right, doing a wipe where we like make it look like the signature scribbles out was like not coming together quickly, so I just did a color change for now. All right, and here's our pal. He's keeping it flippy floppy, and he wants to sell us a new property.
Realtor.
Yeah, it's our realtor.
Will, how's this sound, real quick? Did you hear that?
No, I hear nothing.
One more time. Shh. All right.
I didn't hear anything.
Sweet. Doing a little Foley work.
Oh, cool. All right, so here we are. We're able to pick a new yard. These are the 3 levels you've made. We've got a small farm, farm to table, and prospector's pass. I think I want to just like you want to go to Prospector's Pass. So down here is the ability to add some text. This isn't that stuff isn't hooked up yet either. But here I can click the Let's Go button, and now I'm at the new yard, and I have all the items that I packed into my van just lying there. Also, we've moved the position of the gear icon so that you don't, so that doesn't fight with the timer. A couple of these. All right, let's
This window.
raise some pigs. Oh, I don't have any money. I gotta do this.
So many windows, Will.
Too many windows for you.
I closed a few. Yeah, Badger's like, oh no, I accidentally sent the van to the market. All my good stuff. Like, we are gonna have to put some protections on that somehow, or just be like super clear.
Yeah, so I was wondering if what we do is when these boxes are checked, the market button no longer works.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you could be. I mean, I don't feel personally responsible for every click that the player makes, but I don't want to put it in a position where it's like screwy. But like if you're loading your van up and then you think about something else and come back, you're like, oh, let me just sell off my stuff. I mean, I suppose that's life. But yeah, I think disabling the market button when any one of those checks is on is probably a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best we can do.
Yeah. I just cranked my mic up if I'm too loud now. Someone scream at me.
No, you sound fine.
Thanks, buddy. I was talking to the other folks, Will. It's all right.
We're not alone, are we?
We are not. That's pretty wild, starting with the butcher stall. What does it sell for?
157.
Yeah. $157. Wild.
Oh, I should have brought my well with me. That's.
Oh, I'm not sure. Can you? I should.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I need to set that thing so it's not packable in the van.
Okay.
Bringing a well, like a stall, I could sort of tolerate because of the sizing, and if I didn't like it, then I'd just like make the stall a little too big. But I think that's kind of neat. A well, it's a little sketch.
It didn't offend me at all, but I'm glad that you're the defender of what makes sense there.
Yeah, I mean, you're very much in the Matrix. Like, it's already. I wonder if I set this up right. But the original mine was like one of the things you couldn't pack up. Packing a mine up, a little silly. I mean, you can always just like embrace the silly and just be like, you pack up whatever you want. I mean, we'll let you move the mine around wherever you want, but that's a little different in my head.
Yeah, it's very subjective where the line between silly but good for the game and too silly is.
Yeah, there's also like balance concerns. Like if I don't let you pack up a copper mine, then I know the only places you can produce copper are the places with copper mines. And that, like, in terms of just overall, like,
that
meta flow,
the permutations you have to track.
Yeah, like, go to Prospector's Pass if you want some copper.
Can I get another grinder?
I feel like we're very close to a private Steam build right now, if not there.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there anything? Let's see.
I just want to jam on it a little bit because I'm sure there are, but I mean,
Oh yeah, there's bugs.
There's definitely bugs.
I mean, I definitely noticed some balanced stuff that was like, oh, now that these recipes are like, these food recipes are pretty important. Some of them are just like way off, like did not get an economy pass at all. Um, so you went to Prospector's Pass. I went to Farm to Table, which is where you just were. And like, there's a lot of like, I mean, Karen's unlocked already, so she's got like a lot of food
Do you
recipes she'll
want
buy.
do you want the do you, so the ability to unlock characters won't happen before the next internal build. Do you want Karen to be available or not available in that build?
I don't think it matters. I think we're like,
Okay.
we're still like when I say like a closed Steam build, it's because like you can go from level to level, and so like even just feedback of someone saying like, "Hey, you sure you want to let me bring this? Oh, I don't know, well that's dug in the ground." Like that kind of feedback. We have so many objects that's like, oof. Um,
Feedback I want is the one that's like, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, and you deleted my game forever.
that,
That's the one I want to avoid.
yeah. Well, but having people play wouldn't hurt that. Um, I don't know. We're close. I don't want to wait too long on it. And the other thing is that people that have keys right now are all like folks. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are curators that have keys. Um, I don't know. You chew on it.
I'm sure. In general, the philosophy has been share it early, share it often. So I'm all for some version of what we have right here going out.
Sweet. I do
Uh,
feel a little not. I was like about to just click build now, but I don't think I should actually tax my machine while we're streaming.
yeah, don't do that now. I know that today's sort of like prep. Overall, Thursday would be like prep new build day. Maybe that's what happens tomorrow morning. We
I
hammer
mean,
that out.
I mean, going forward, Thursday is supposed to be ready to send build day,
Okay. Yeah, one.
and then like play test it on Thursday, send it out. So right now we're play testing. I don't know that necessarily like we have to get that machine rolling, but in theory, on a lot of Thursdays, we play the game, be like, "Are we comfortable with this?" and send it, or say, "Hey, here's the list of stuff we want to do," you know, tomorrow, and then send it out.
Yeah. This time slot just feels like a really good opportunity to be like, here's the progress we got. Like, any
Yeah.
last changes you want to make before it goes out?
Yep.
I know that like a Friday build is a little cutting it close because if there's anything wrong with it, Steam's systems aren't open on the weekend.
Yeah, I don't think we want to do like Friday afternoon at all, but having all of Friday, not a big deal. The nice thing is there's just two of us. The other nice thing is you can always just say F it and do it on Monday. Um,
True.
we don't have there's no one above us to be like, oh my god, I made up these numbers. The game will fail if it's not out on Friday, even though we just made that day up 4 days ago. So we don't have to lose too much sleep over it.
Yeah, we're just talking about an internal build, anyways.
Yeah. Yes. Also true. This is.
I'm thinking more about like what kind of cadence we want to sink into.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I've really been pleased with the workout. Some plan out some work on Monday, and then I have Tuesday and Wednesday pretty much wide open as far as how I'm allocating my time.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Thursday, I can go, here's what I got.
Yep. It's good. I think it's a good cadence. And then, having Friday be relatively free up. That's why I don't worry too much about pushing something on a Friday, because we can literally just like we'll know, because there's not a huge team to work on stuff, if we think we're within striking distance of a build, and we'll either get it done in the morning and ship it, or it's pretty clear that it'll be a next week thing. Buying that sawhorse.
Yep.
I did find in playing through and taking stuff forward that it was an interesting sort of push pull on how fast I wanted to go next time, like how much of a boost I wanted at the start versus how much money I wanted at the start.
Yeah, I disrespected money completely, and now I'm out of money.
I disrespected money, and now I'm out of money. That's like a title track of your first album. Like I packed a few pizzas up because like per tile at the time. Now I was coming out of the tutorial, but um, I just I packed up a few pizzas and was like, and a few other things. Workbench, magnet, hammer. I think small pen, just so it would be already sitting there. Mill,
Yeah,
mixer.
wish I had brought more of the stuff I needed to make a large pen. I also wish I had brought the butcher block, but oh well.
Strategery. Yeah, the nails are expensive.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I definitely just like spent a bunch of money at the hardware store, the very
That
expensive hardware store.
that said,
Keep forgetting what I'm going in there for.
there's a few nails on the ground next to that anvil.
Oh yeah, I can make a butcher
Financial
block.
disrespect is a fun name for a Steam achievement. Yeah, sure is.
Yeah,
Write that down.
I like that. Need more of these. And I need more money. So what do we do? Oh, we probably start composting and self-fertilizer.
Yeah. Bill's probably buying it too.
Oh, is he?
I would guess.
He
He's
is
get-
buying.
yeah, he's
Oh,
buying
he's
for it
buying a
twice.
lot. Cool. It's also buying 3 pigs. Oops, almost bought that and didn't want it.
Yeah, Bill's got a hankering for that fertilizer. What?
Oh, I got I got excited for a second. I saw the 11 was like, oh, I have 11 deeds. I can get the mine. That's not.
So you run in what? 2 composters or 3?
I brought 3 composters, but I really need more. I need more pigs to get this machine rolling.
What you breeding?
I need to build one of these first.
Is Sarah selling them? Or maybe Otto? Otto might sell them.
No, I
They're
didn't
not-
see it.
Ha!
Oh
Dude.
well, maybe if I hit new offers. Yeah, no, he's
Nope. Not on this
not.
one.
I can get another one of these though. That's cool.
Yeah. No big pen from Otto on this level. That is intentional.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that I have to build it myself, whereas in the previous level I bought it. That feels like, a good ratcheting of.
I think for its size, it's actually like a pretty solid thing to take forward if you know you're going to be raising a lot of animals.
It's big. It's about the same as this. Is the butcher.
I think it might
and
be
you
a
can't take
4x4.
both, which is I think great.
You know we're going to get a request for like a bigger van, a van with a trailer, tractor trailer. Or if you know you're going to be raising.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great thought for later in the game. I do like how easy it was to implement the van. Like going back to it, it's kind of like, it's one of those things like I wouldn't enjoy doing, but it's entirely sensible. And most of my counter argument is just kind of like whiny. I don't feel like it, which means I'll do it.
No, I've definitely got tasks like that where I'm like, I don't feel like raycasting to detect where you dropped the item.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with the van is it's very much like a one-off thing where like everything is built. I mean, obviously we have a van that drives by in like the menu, but like all the fiddly work it's not systemic, I guess is my point. And so from everything outside of its under the hood functionality. So like it's sized because I went into A Sprite, the innards of it, and like almost pixel to pixel made sure that the like space inside fit it. Like switching to a van with a trailer on it. I don't know. I mean, I think if it was just a straight up swap out to like no longer a hippie van, I think it'd be fine. It'd be fine.
So you're mostly talking about making the background, right, rather than the actual
I
grid
mean,
and
the
everything.
the innards of it is easy. Like I would literally just go in, make a new van location, give it a size.
Yeah, so I can afford to make a couple of these. Just
It's mostly just psychological whininess because like it's one of the parts of the game that feels super done, and then like
van.
cracking it back open. It's like,
So I asked because I feel the same way about the van. And for me, having the van, like the van is very singular. It's always the same.
yeah.
But we just kind of
I mean,
create it directly from some hard-coded strings because I know what you named all of its innards in data. So I'd have to do the work of making that more generic,
it's also like
which is like easy but like annoying.
it's also thematically like it's like even the icon for the game right now. You know, the fact that you don't leave with any money, like you can only pack that van up. The fact that like you go to a realtor and you chuck this thing and you get some chivos and then you come back to a new yard with the same van, like part of that narratively, I really would like to have stay intact. That you're just some
Hence the trailer you propose, right? Where you're not buying a new van, you're buying a trailer.
yeah, yeah, and even
I mean,
then,
I like that as a sort of way to have it both.
yeah, it's we'll see. But as a fixed constraint design wise, like knowing that it is exactly this many tiles by this many tiles also just makes we're already pretty organic level to level with what you get to take with you and all that.
I'm looking at it now. I wonder, this is going to be even more annoying for me. I wonder if there's a way to make the trailer a separate grid
I know.
so that you still have the same max size to.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Like, what if the trailer was a separate object? It's just that when you go to market, it just checks both of them. You literally drag things to your trailer or drag things to your van.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So there's just be two objects with the same like type of hotspot over them that refer to two different locations that you drop stuff in. And then when you say send it, it's just one.
Is that a design you want, or is that trying to like anticipate the implementation details?
I think with how touchy grabby this game is, that dragging stuff to a trailer versus the van, like especially if we leave you destitute with just the van for a really long time, I would like to have two separate controls in terms of not just how many total tiles, but the actual dimensions of the innards of both. I guess is my point.
Well, that doesn't preclude us from putting them both here. Like
would it, how,
if I were to kind of break it down, what I would do is I would update this sprite when you get the trailer. I would change what sprite we show here.
Yeah.
And then when you right click either the trailer or the van, it would take you here.
Yep.
And here would have two grids.
I mean, I guess if you want to,
and there would be some tricky stuff in data to like make sure that we fill up both grids when you're dragging things into the combined object here.
Every time you open that, I see that it's off like by a pixel or two. Up top, 1 pixel.
Oh, right here.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
a couple pixels.
I think we certainly could do that. It definitely sounds like more code to have a location with two separate grids in it, but with a gap in the middle. Are we over designing something that we haven't even been asked for yet? We're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, we're just spitballing like how we would make that happen. Like it's kind of a costing exercise. Like is this an easy ask or is this a bunch of
it's true.
pain?
Make
a couple more of these. I think I can sell Bill some of this.
Make that money. Oh, the other thing that doesn't update when you leave the UI for a specific character up is
When you leave the UI like this.
yeah, when you leave that, if I have X amount of cash money and it's not enough to buy a cow, and then I close out of this and I get enough money and I come back, I still have to hit the back button and go back in, or select something else and select it again.
Okay,
That was
I'll put a note down. Say that so when cash money changes, um, purchasable items aren't updated.
correct. Badger asks, "What is the actual purpose of the trailer?" And it's several fold. It's um, one is just narratively like I think it's interesting that you always just kind of pull up in a van and bootstrap, but functionally, it is a I don't want to say it's a pure time sink, but it keeps the game kinetic enough where if I want at its base level to just get rid of some stuff for cash money, like I pack my things up interactively and I send them out. The so that's like the big picture thing of it. The size of it on the inside of the TARDIS um, is important because it when you leave the yard completely, it gates to some extent what you can take, or at the very least how much. And then in some cases with some objects, um, like you can't take two large animal pens, even though you can take one. There are some items that are like hard restricted. But the idea of being able to pack up X amount of stuff in your van and have it as a bonus to start with in the next one is pretty important. So, one, it's like a physical mechanism to go sell stuff with that isn't instant like the phone is. And the phone is all things like X amount of this for Y amount of cash money, whereas the van is very incremental and it's like I could just drop a couple things in because I need a couple bucks and send it. And then the other part of the van is if you just want to like toss a bunch of stuff in there and send it to the dump if you want to just get rid of cruft. So like it's like a narrative cornerstone, but like it's also kind of like the thing that pins uh the tiniest semblance of like spatial reality to the basic actions of the game. So like it's kind of presumed.
To me, the reason to add the trailer is definitely to allow you to carry more items forward to a new game.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of supercharges your progression.
Yeah. So Badger says infinite trips to market, so it's more for moving to a new location. It's both. Like it is arguably your character. Which leads us down the road of customizing the van visually. But yeah, it's infinite trips to market to just like incrementally sell things here and there. Um,
It does soup up your ability to deal with cruft, but like it doesn't, like adding the trailer doesn't really change your ability to go to the market, right? Like you can just take 2 trips and you're not spending anything more now.
yeah, if we're talking strictly the internal TARDIS size of it, that is mainly the big thing is moving to a new location. So theoretically, if the dimensions of the trailer were, say, taller, then there would be a few more items that you could, in theory, sell.
Yeah, like, and that, I mean, that feels like good ground for, you know, uh, adding more life to the game, because adding an extra grid to store things for your next playthrough, you know, increases what you can do, but also changing the dimensions of it now unlocks a whole new set of strategies where things that you couldn't take forward before are now able to. So like both of those seem appealing, right?
Yeah, they do.
As a way to make the game
So,
more game.
so from Badger once more, what if the quote unquote moving aspect was a completely separate thing? We already don't like the market option during the move. It's true. I the thing is, I don't disagree with you, but I really like that it is always the van. And if there's a way to like make that work, to like make the van seem as real as possible by having it have a certain amount of space that you are using to take stuff to the dump or the market, that you are using to fill the thing. I This is one of those cases where like I would not be surprised if uh you're right. But I would.
So it's the suggestion that moving to a new yard, basically packing up and moving, should be its own flow with a whole different. Like the problem is that it's stapled onto the van, right?
Let me see if I understand. His Badger responded, "Oh, I still use the van, but I have the check marks open. A loading. Like a loading the van mini game. Yeah, it's possible.
It's just more work.
It is.
Part of it is like we have to find the cheapest ways to do the things that we want to make the game better.
I think where this goes though is that like I wouldn't be I wouldn't want to completely separate them. I'm almost certain we will have to put some more controls on it. Someone is absolutely at some point going to be like halfway through a playthrough, like, oh, I want to keep this, oh, I want to keep that, and they're going to accidentally sell something. That I have no plans of stopping. Like, but
well, maybe that is a reason to use the trailer. Maybe that is a reason to do the trailer approach, and the trailer is a separate thing, an object. When you market, the trailer doesn't go with you to the market.
I think to start, it's going to be I disable the market by going and seeing the realtor and hitting at least one of those checks. Can I hit the second check and not the first?
Sure. But if you try to sign, it still says that your application is rejected. Got to check both. No one else triggered.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I want to see. I think the main thing is for me, like, we'll put some amount of controls on it. I want to see not if people have trouble with it, but like exactly how they have trouble with it, and then sort of build around that if we need to.
I need to make more money. I think this is an interesting thing. I sort of like went too big for my britches with this carrying the butcher stall forward.
You did.
Because from get-go, like I didn't actually have the supporting materials and stations to really use it. Like I've been struggling since I arrived to really like get an economy going.
That said,
I think that's interesting.
That said, you like in the case of the butcher. Yes, in the case of the butcher stall, though, like it doesn't provide anything transformatively new. Like it is a bigger bulk thing. There's going to be plenty of stuff added to it. It's literally just got 2 bulk recipes on it, and they're cool. If you're grinding through lots of animals,
normal butcher table.
Yeah, but you know the game where it's at today, if that was providing you with something that you couldn't possibly have on this level, then look at that vacuous space.
Yeah. I mean, I will get to a point where I'm like selling pork in a way that I couldn't normally do on this level, right?
Truth. That's what you gotta do is focus on the pork.
Yep.
But you gotta get breeding going, man.
I'm trying.
Gotta get that husbandry.
I can build more things.
Yeah.
I just can't build enough things.
Does it make sense for you to
If I could get
buy?
to 10 deeds, I would start. I would be able to start making my own nails.
Well, would you?
I would at least be on the way towards that pipeline. You know,
So to make nails, you need.
like I'm not supposed to have Mori in this level though.
That's true. Is he selling something that you could? Oh yeah,
He sells the anvil,
that's true. That is true.
and it's like I could just start doing this. It's actually pretty cheap. I'm just gonna do it because you
Yeah.
let me. Ooh,
I did.
81 though. 81.
Get wrecked, Will, because I let you. Psh, sorta.
Sort of. Oh, no, I stand corrected.
Wondering Warrior Arts is what trouble are you expecting there? Um, just in terms of like the van being the way where you hit the market button and you just go sell stuff versus I'm loading the van up because I want to leave and I want to take that stuff with me. That's the main thing. But
We basically do a sketchy thing where the way you trash items is now the way you carry your most valuable items to the next game.
yes,
that's
Badger
a
asks, can you
little
take less
crazy.
than the full van to the next location? Yeah, you could take nothing, which is the big reason we have a double check box.
We could warn you if your van is empty, like, hey, are you sure? Double, triple sure.
Yeah, we may do
that.
that, or put some sort of indicator when you're signing away, like it could just be a list of what's in the van right now, just a text list, just so that like you can sort of see that like what's in, and then that way when the list is empty, it's like, yo, dog, you ain't got nothing in your van. Once again, we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. What I think is going to happen is that players are going to play the level like the normal play for however long it takes them till they feel like they're ready to leave, and then hopefully mentally they're going to get themselves in a state that they're like, now it's move time. I put stuff in my van to move. When I'm satisfied with that, I peace out. Another like potential conflict, and I don't think it's going to be a real problem, is that you're supposed to leave stuff in the yard to get the achievements. And so if you go to take them with you, you won't get them.
Yeah, that's not even.
These may end up being like
Yet.
I would rather find out when there's 50 people that have paid $9.99 for this game that those are like legitimately common problems and very quickly fix them then than try to fix them now without knowing if it's actually going to be real. Yeah. Hey man, it's a people have made quite the living on it. In fact, we don't even need to share in the realtor screen. We probably don't even need to share the list of stuff you have in there. We should just tell you how much empty space you have in your van. That's helpful.
I forgot to put my chat up. I'm blind to the chat. I'll fix it later.
Do you get any other bonuses for leaving stuff in the yard aside from Chivos? So one thing we've got to make pretty darn clear is that you've got Steam achievements mapped to Chivos, Chivos being Cruft Chivos. So you will get a Steam achievement for each one, but when you meet the requirements, basically your yard gets audited when you piece out. When you meet the requirements for one of those and you get it, there's a permanent bonus that goes with you for every subsequent playthrough. So, let me see if I can DJ this thing a little bit.
You grabbing the screen?
I think I am. It would be better if this was on the Cintiq, but I don't think I have anything dangerous here.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Do one of those.
Get my chat up.
So, like, if you left, I think those are the medium ones. So, if you left with 10 pine trees, 10 apple trees, 10 maple trees, you get the arborist Shivo, um, and you get recipes for to be able to plant and grow different kinds of trees. It's not just stuff in your yard. Like, if you leave with 1,000 cash money in your account, then you start with 100. Obviously, those are soft numbers. Um, for every subsequent playthrough. So as you're knocking these things out, um, sure you're getting a Steam achievement, but directly mapped to that, you're getting one in game that gives you permanent bonuses for the future. So it unlocks recipes, it unlocks characters. So a couple of maps we're playing right now, it's like, hey, when Will was like, hey, Mori wouldn't even be here right now. It's because he'd be locked. You'd have to unlock him by, doing the radioactive 1927, which is leaving a yard with one electrical components and one electrical housing. And then from then on out, on maps where Mori is possible, where he's a part of the level, then he would be unlocked at that point. And there's some soft gating, but not a crazy amount of hard gates. Like, trying to think of a good example. Like, any level that's 30 by 30, you definitely can't get Goblin mode, which is like 1,001 cruft on the ground. Um, but theoretically, like, if you bring a couple very important things in your van to this next level, like for example, Prospector's Pass, which is where Will is right now of the 4 levels we have, including the tutorial, the only one with an iron mine and a copper mine. If Mori's locked, then you have to unlock a forge and an anvil that are on ground plots that are locked for deeds at the start. But if Mori's unlocked, then you could just buy an anvil. I think he sells a forge too. Might, or at the very least, he sells iron bars. So you wouldn't even need the forge if you wanted to pay money out for it. But you could bring some stuff to this level and then work with the stuff that's in the level to get some of the harder achievements that sort of require a crossing of the streams, so to speak. So Chivos is sort of it's not a legitimately trademarked thing, but Chivos is going to be an app in your little phone, um, and well, we'll give you a Steam achievement for each one of them. They do stuff in game too. Badger says that's why I was asking if the load the van should be a separate thing. I think it's going to end up being separate, but not super separate. I don't even think it's going to be separate. I think it's going to just have some speed bumps in it. And obviously, I may eat those words, and we may put more time into it. But everything is like, in terms of prioritizing that, I'm pretty sure people are going to be playing this game, and I'd like it that way before we address it. Now, that said, at the top of this, we were talking about putting Steam builds out there, private ones, that plenty of folks have keys to. So, like, we may get that before we go into early access, but don't know. What, speaking of which, what stuff do we have also on the docket today?
Yeah, we ready to try something else? We've got view the build. We've got discussing a more generic tutorial system.
Yeah.
Road to early access.
Can you piece out in the van right now, load it up and go? Because then we could just check out the realtor and the pick new yard.
Yeah. Let's see. What am I actually taking with me this time? I'm gonna take.
Can you take that anvil while it's on a timer?
No, I'm just kidding. No, I can't move it.
You can't. God. Take that magnet.
Take this. I'll take this. Take this. I'll wait for that. Oh, I'll take the well because that's getting nerfed soon. Take that. What do I got?
Got plenty of space.
Let's take one of these. These are nice. Let's take another one of these. A couple of these. I'm pretty much gonna take 2 farm plots.
Will,
Like all
do
the
you
time.
do you want to? Oh, I don't know. Spend those 9 deeds, unlock something, and take it with you.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, whatever. I don't want
You ain't taking no mine with you. You can take a forge
can't-
with you.
what is it? 5
Yeah.
high? So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I could take a mine with me.
You can take a. I don't know if it'll allow it, but you try.
Oh, it'll be disallowed.
Yeah.
By a blast or
I'm
something.
just saying you can take a forge with you, and I think you get a couple iron bars with it. Don't buy it.
Forge?
Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's for deeds.
I gotta use my eyes, don't I?
Top middle. Top middle.
No. This?
Top middle.
Use more words. What do you? Oh, this. Here we go.
Oh, it's got raw iron. I put the wrong things in it, but that's fine.
It's got crude.
Oh, it's got
coal.
crude coal. Ah! Okay, that does make sense.
I mean that. Yeah, I was about to say that makes sense. Oh, I can't magnet because the magnet's not out here.
You're gonna forget that magnet if you're not careful.
I'm not gonna forget it.
Oh, perfect.
All right, this will be. All right, so this is what I'm taking.
Badger says pigs. Not a bad call.
It's not a bad call. It's not a bad call, but I think I can easily buy them early on, whereas a lot of this stuff you can't easily buy.
It's true. It's true. Think about the meta.
All right. I hereby certify that I have loaded my van with everything I want to take with me to my next yard. No, really, everything I want to keep is in the van right now. Ooh, you know what?
Wandering Warrior Art says, from real life experience, don't put that raw iron in the forge unless you want to deal with forbidden spaghetti. Ah. Good time.
So
you know what's also nice is your forge is lit in the back of your van right now.
yeah, that's a hazard. You know, I don't know what happens if I choose to leave while I'm here on the van screen, which is like a pretty normal thing to try.
Let's find
Should
out.
we do it?
Yeah.
All right, so you guys can't hear the sound effect, but it played the sound effect of the van driving off.
Oh, look at those levels.
Okay. Let's go.
Can you don't slow down, buddy? Slow down. Where are you going?
Let's go into the
Can
farm.
you tell what's on that map?
What's on the farm?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a crappy picture. Can you decipher what that picture means?
there are trees, a large pen, some farm plots, some dead trees,
That's shitty
and I don't know what the little squares next to the dead trees are.
Yeah. All right. What about the next
All
one?
right, no, this is a fun game. Let's play the next
Yeah.
one. Okay. There's a forge here. There's
Mhm.
a mine. There's an anvil. There's trees. There's a well, and a second mine.
Easy. We were just there.
And then, yeah, yes, fair. Okay, this one, yeah, like once I learned what the icons mean, so there's a well. I'm not the best test subject. I would say that below the well, those are either artist palettes or muffins, but I know that they're apple trees, and I wouldn't know. I don't think I would know necessarily what this is.
It's a good
on
thing
the
I put a
right.
question mark here right there.
Yeah. I'm also not really sure what exactly you're telling me with this maneuver.
I was trying to communicate that it's a weird plot that you start in, and that like, yes, you have all this, you don't have what's in the middle there. Yeah. I think I just have to fill the red in with some sort of pattern.
You could probably just remove the arrow because this will never appear in isolation. I think it's pretty clear once you like play a level once what this stuff means. The first time you come here, you're probably going to be confused no matter what. No.
Yeah, that level's pretty wild.
Like if we make a system that uses the real locked location items like the mine, etc., then there's less madness here. Maybe we just put a shader on it so it looks like the asset, but in a black and white treatment.
Maybe.
That wouldn't be that hard.
That wouldn't be
Just
that bad.
Black and white every one of those locked location items. The trick would maybe be,
They won't sit in the right place.
I
mean, it doesn't matter.
That's solvable. We can solve that.
It doesn't.
I know the scale of everything here. I can reconstruct it. We're basically making what the location system does for these little thumbnails.
Yeah.
So
that stream with a little pond at the
more
end.
of my time than what we have now. This costs 0 of my time.
Yeah. I mean, it stands in so we can tell which map is which. That drawing that
you
stream.
You could also probably Photoshop it up where you just grayscale the sprites and paste them on here.
Took a long time. Trust me. It is very hard to draw that stream with a lake on the end of it and not have it look weird and phallic.
I bet.
It's a good time.
Yeah, what do you do? Probably just nope. Yeah, no matter which way you point it, it's not gonna help.
It's all good. I was like, oh, I'll draw like little reeds and stuff in the lake. That'll make it look more lake-like. I was like, nope, no, it didn't. Little curly things. No, it didn't help. Oh, but look, there's a large pen just waiting there for you.
I know. And it's only 4 deeds. Sheesh.
It's an easier level.
I don't know how. I'm probably. There's probably no way to get steel on this level, though, now that I think about it.
Ain't no Mori.
Nope. I can get one of these here, though. That's nice. Yeah, there's no Mori here. Can I even do anything with these?
Steel don't grow on trees.
No, I can't. It's tricky. It's tricky.
It's tricky.
How much is the cell phone? Is there any of these? No.
Wait, go back to that tree. Did it actually?
This one?
Okay, it did say the right thing. All right.
Yeah, ebony tree, ebony sapling. That's the real loot. And then. Okay.
Wait, was that right? Go down to that corn again. Did I do that wrong?
Corn? This?
Yeah, where you're at right there. That's not right.
This one?
Oh, that one. Okay.
So I clicked on the middle one here with the two things in barley, and then this one over here has got the little ones in the corn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yo, just make cheese, says allegedly Dave. Yeah, just make that cheese.
The cheese economy is strong.
Yes. Cheese OP. Please do not nerf.
Okay, what am I doing here? Are we moving on? Am I shutting this down?
Yeah.
Okay. Quit. Okay, what do you want to talk about next?
Why don't we? Why before? At some point, we'll talk about deeps. Maybe a little later. We got plenty of time, which is good. Just going down the checklist. Realtor works. Pick new yard works. Van transfers work. We want to talk about a more generic tutorial system.
Yeah.
Right now, it goes, hey, are you on the tutorial level? And then there's a bunch of scripty stuff that happens step by step. I think all of y'all, most of y'all, anyone who's piped up, played the tutorial. It's I would say it's fairly directed, though some of the criticism we got in the demo was that, like, if you do anything but what it tells you, you're dead. That was a little hyperbolic. Kind of flexible, but
you're not dead, but you have to start over if you really get stuck. you
Yeah,
can
well,
mess
well,
it up, which is pretty much unheard of.
there was one comment that was
I
like,
get
if
that.
you don't do exactly what it says, you have to start over. And it's like, if you sell all of your cows, then you're in trouble.
You might not. I mean, I'm just defending this person, I guess. But you might not have to start over. But if you're new to the game, you don't have the tools yet to start over.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely.
You don't have this. You don't have the tools to write
Yeah,
the ship.
it's
Until
not
you really
particular. It's the warrior arts. It's not particularly forgiving. No. Correct. That is the assessment. It is not forgiving.
Yeah. And so just to recap, since then, right? Like we had to have the tutorial and the like sort of sandbox mode all in the same place with all the same recipes and shopkeepers in the mix with you. And moving forward, we don't have to do that anymore. We have different yards, and the first yard you'll play will be much more restricted in terms of what's even possible. So it'll be harder to go off the path because there just won't be any other
So as an example, and
ground,
this is the main thing, is that we're not actually, like, I'm just describing how on rails we are or aren't. We're not going to put it more on rails, but just like finishing the demo and then just going into free play mode was like, hey, make a pizza. Eventually the magnet. And there's an achievement in the demo for the pizza. Now there's going to be an achievement for the magnet, which will give you through the Chivo system the recipe for the magnet in case you need it again, and you don't pack it. It'll probably unlock some recipes that are very basic that were confusing to people because they were unlocked during the tutorial. So like, no butter. But when you finish the tutorial, that Chivo will give you the recipe for butter, so now it'll be active. So there's a lot of things that, like, if we plan the achievements out for finishing the tutorial the right way, they stand to work for the game long term. Like all the characters except for Tim being just locked through a generic lock on lock system. And so going forward, like, we'd like to have, when we have a level that you're seeing for the first time, now that we have different levels, is there a way we can like cook some narrative that's special into it, do some amount of informing in it that doesn't feel like a tutorial, but is also like written, functionality wise in a way that we can be like, oh, that's right. Like Z made a new dumb level with like 3 lakes and 4 streams in it. Should Sarah tell you a few things at the start, have you do 1 or 2 small things, and then do something else, like, and then change your store over or something. So we need to figure out, now that we have more than just one intro level, how that system should work. Save me, Will.
So what I'm trying to do now is just go through what we have for scripting the tutorial and just kind of write out the general things, because I think the goal here now is to extract what we're doing in a inflexible way and make it flexible, right?
Flexible. I like it.
Make it data driven, because
Yeah.
I don't want to have to manually script up every interaction in every tutorial. I want to just like make a tool and give it to you to do that, right?
And likewise, I would just like to have a tool that does it and not have to come pestering you all the time.
Okay, so we got changed. So in the tutorial, so a tutorial right now is a sequence of steps, and each step has some properties, and we'll dig into that soon because we're gonna have to extract it in a way that you can express this in a spreadsheet. So I'm just going through the things that we can do right now. We can change location, we can collect items, we can, these are sorted by alphabet, which is not very helpful. We can wait for crafting to complete, maybe crafting completed step.
We can go market, we can go dump. Or is that just go UI?
Craft item. You can dump item. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to take a minute and type them all out, and then We can there's an interface for it. Market. We can
Well, we got no other place to go, baby.
open the phone.
Open. Yeah.
We can open a station. And we can pop-up message step. What does that do? Oh, this just shows a pop-up message.
Yeah.
Show pop-up message.
That was at the end of it when it's like, hey, congrats.
And we can relocate items, which very specifically means changing it from the yard to the van or some other linked item. And then unlock location feature.
So just to be clear, if I did something like make a bigger than butcher stall thing called an abattoir, and you could go into it or send stuff to it, that thing would be like, hey, put these pigs in the abattoir, and it would work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there could be yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Relocating items currently. Basically, all of these kind of advertise their parameters, their variability in this line here, so we can give that ability. The item that you're supposed to relocate in the location you're supposed to relocate it to. Okay. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about how the tutorial for a first-time player, somebody who's new to the game, we anticipate needing a little bit more power there. So there might be features that we don't really need to build into a data-driven system. I'm not 100% on that. I'm not 100% sure that that's what we're going to end up doing. What do you? Because like, if I have it, that way we'll have it. You know.
It's true. And we do have to sort of like, I think we have to get a couple more game systems online before we really know how much more directly we need to drive the player in that tutorial.
Yeah, like to me, I think the problem is just like how do we turn these into a spreadsheet driven thing?
Yep. Like in some cases, it's like we just basically need not nomenclature, we need like sentence structure, and then to be able to go like, hey, I don't know if this is true. This is up for debate. But like if we wanted to take the craft item step, like in some column in the database, it's like craft item, and then the next thing it takes, the next column is like a recipe. So it wouldn't be the item ID. It's craft item, but it's really use recipe. Oh no, it's not. It's have. Craft item is really have item, isn't it?
No. So it's broken out into three different things. There's crafting the item. There's waiting for the timer to count down, and then there's collecting the item.
What I'm asking though is what does craft item check for? That you engaged a recipe? It has to be the recipe, right? Or does it look?
Yeah. Craft item only takes a recipe,
right?
And then it listens for you to start crafting that recipe. That's when this goes off.
That's why I'm saying you should change it from craft item to use recipe.
Okay. I'm just going to leave that in parentheses so I can find the linked code.
If I use a different recipe
Actually,
that still spits out the item,
instead do this. This is you say this is use recipe, right?
Yeah.
We have the power. Just rename things like that. Boom.
We do. Do you need a code review? You do like a pull request?
You're trolling me. I do need code reviews, but I'm not going to get them at this job.
Sweet. My point there, though, is that some recipes have multiple outputs, and so like we have to characterize it based on you picking the specific recipe.
For sure, yeah. And I think what that is what we had, but this is a much better name. And that's one of the things you get from code reviews is better names. Coworkers code.
Better names, better pizza.
That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. All right. So pretty much any tutorial step is going to need a character and the text that's going to show up on your phone, right?
100%.
We definitely should add portraits to all of the messages on the phone.
We should.
In fact, I'm going to put that on my to-do list.
And we should reformat it so that it looks like a text at the top of your phone. Cha-ching.
I might need you to do that.
Yeah, I know. I'll eat it.
Uh,
I would like you to add something to this list of stuff. Or you're saying what do we already have? We're not.
Yeah, I've just gone through and put in what we already have.
Can we add stuff to the list?
Yeah. It'll cost you.
Yeah, I know. A friendly text.
Yeah, this is just. It's just this, right? When does the friendly text go away?
Friendly text might get their own acknowledge button so that you don't even have to open anything or whatever. It's just sitting there on the phone up on top. It's just Tim saying hi.
Now I get a snip of the phone. I want to sneak the phone real quick. So small.
Oh, hail Miro.
Yep. Okay, here's ye old phone.
Ye old phone.
So like text messages actually kind of look like oh no. That is so small.
Just move screens over here real quick. Scooch this and be totally annoying while I scribble on this thing while you're trying to do your job.
So here's like a text. Here's a text from someone. And we want a portrait because that's cooler. I do. Just grab one of these.
You don't have a Miro fight?
Is this the nerdiest way to have a rap battle? Are you mirroring the same thing somewhere else?
No, I was doing it on top of yours. It's all good. Yours looks better.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? Should be like, do you heart me? I'll give you two options underneath where it's like, oh my god, it's totally illegible. Yes. I don't even know if those things matter. Wow, that really did not come through.
Need a thicker brush.
I do need a thicker brush. You're right. Oh. Oh my god. Yes. I wonder if we can get away with something, or if they're stacked. Like we have plenty of space on this phone where like you can. It looks way better on the screen than it does on my screen right now. But like having the opportunity to say what you want to Tim I don't even know if we'll track it. Someday we might, and it might be fun.
So
But
like the Zelda method of yes and I don't understand.
yeah, like the idea of them just positing something that you have two responses to, and your way of acknowledging it and moving forward is just picking one of the options, and it's just like a single tap.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's merely to dismiss the text,
Yep.
but you get a fake choice along the way.
Yeah, and maybe we track the choice. Maybe someday.
When I get a text that I like want to acknowledge but don't have anything to say about, I just like do the thumbs up thing. Does that
Oh,
is
it could
that
just
better than a fake choice that is gonna make people wonder, or worse?
it could just be like emojis. That's it. It's like thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
I mean, you don't even need the box. It's literally does not respect
Yeah.
the
Like
Wacom.
heart, raffle.
Poop emoji, um,
Yeah.
fire.
Poop emoji definitely needs to be in the mix.
Yeah, and that's the way you acknowledge it. So look at
I like that.
that. And then we could fill that up with all kinds of fun stuff. We can also put tutorialization in there in a much easier way. Did you know you can move the camera with WASD?
You talking to me about Miro?
No, that's Tim sending you a text. Oh, thumbs up or heart.
Oh, he just
Yeah,
you were such in character that I didn't even realize.
that's right. I drop into Tim like,
Yeah.
bam,
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. Sure. Right. That covers whatever you want.
Yep.
That's good. Okay. Um, is this collection of emoji reactions
Constant.
static for
Yes.
every friendly text?
Yes.
All right. What do I need to write? How am I going? I need to think for a minute about the bigger structure here. I have step, but we have all these different types of steps.
You
I
got a
think
lot
it
of
has to
steps.
be. I think it has to. I think each of these has to be their own message type.
Scooch the camera size so it fits in this little block. Satisfying.
Yeah,
Are
probably has.
are all of these? Here's a question: are all of these always going to be sequential, or is something like a nice
A
text?
tree.
No, 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 no,
I was going to
no,
say, please don't
no,
tree me.
no. Everything else we had until I was like, hey, I want to get text from Tim because I miss him. Um, everything up to that point was very sequential, and then like intermittent texts may just be on their own thing. Like there's a lot of I wonder if you just get texts at certain times into a level or if there's just a hopper of them or whatever. They feel a little different than direct tutorialization. They're passive.
So, sounds like what we need for these is a trigger.
Oh, so the trigger is either completion of the previous thing or
Yeah, like right now we only have one trigger, which is previous step completed.
Whereas time could be a trigger. And obviously, this leaves us in a spot where, like, what happens if I get a text in between? Might not be a problem.
Well,
We just probably wouldn't do it in the actual tutorial level.
the thing we would have to handle is if I trigger two texts at the same time, how does that interact? The one of them would have to be waiting in a queue until you dismiss the first one.
Which is pretty sweet because then you just make the number go up. A little red number in the corner. You ponder that on the tree of woe. I'll be back in 1 minute. I gotta move some of this coffee along.
The tree of woe. Fair enough. I don't know what he means by the tree of woe. So triggers, yeah. Just need a queue for messages. Need some collection of triggers. Why doesn't? Just trying to paste a file. Why am I failing at this?
Not surprised that Warrior Arts knew the reference. So, Thulsa Doom, when he finally essentially captures Conan, has a big long speech with him. I think he says, paraphrasing, but he's basically like, ponder this on the tree of woe, and they crucify him on a tree. That's the scene where eventually he like bites the neck out of the vulture. Tree of woe, very important.
Nice. I have seen that movie, but not enough times. It's got to be
good response. Not enough times.
It's not like I've never seen a better haircut on James Earl Jones.
He's such a baller in that. Like,
oh man,
it is so easy to forget that like he is so slick in that movie, like, and so meme worthy. Where there's one point
my God,
like,
it's amazing.
He says stuff and then he does like sort of look so intense. I love him.
Yeah. Like it's got to be an extremely small slice of the population that can wear that haircut with conviction the way he does.
Yeah, I mean, and essentially like it all became like, emo goth chicks much down the road. Like brought it back around.
They took it back.
It did. That's a good like old man thing to ask someone who's like in their late teens, early 20s, if like that's a Thulsa Doom haircut. Just be like oblivious reference that you giggle to yourself about because you're just like an old white nerd.
All right. Sorry, I'm just doing
I'm with you.
Doing data work for the viewers at home. This is how we express all of our data-driven stuff. These messages are just kind of types. These are types of info that we can ship to the game from a spreadsheet, basically. And so we'll need a collection of different types of triggers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You want to brainstorm some different triggers?
In my vast and painful experience of doing tutorial stuff, like you either genericize it where you're like, hey, here's a type, or you hand forward an actual step explicitly. So in the case of like the tutorial we have now, Tim would be like, do this, and then the trigger for the next thing would be this is done specifically.
Yeah, and that's how it works right now.
Yeah.
In
Which may be
the
fine
bigs.
for us. Like that
I'm
spreadsheet.
not expecting this to do a lot of heavy lifting. Like I'm expecting the tutorial step to reference. How am I expecting this to work actually? Like I need a trigger type in here. And one of those trigger, actually this just ends up being an enum. I'll have to look up the actual syntax. This isn't gonna
Yeah, that's what I mean, is that
apply
like
right now.
I give an enum to a step or to a tutorial event, and the trigger can be an enum of a different one.
Yeah.
And so you're, in data, you're going to have a lot of like, I have one row of stuff, and the next one just refers to the enum that was used on the previous one. The next one used, back to, quite often for sequential stuff, it'll just be like, oh, when that thing's done, do this. When that thing's done, do this.
I'm just thinking that the trigger type for most, like right now, every step in the tutorial is sequential like that.
Yep.
So they would all have the trigger type previous step complete or something like that, right?
Yep.
Oh, maybe one has the trigger game start.
Yep.
All right. So that covers what exists now in the world.
It's probably not game start. It's probably level start.
Right, you are.
Got one.
Right, you are. Okay. What other trigger types?
Do you want to be like super explicit and be like first time level start? Just so that when it's coded, we don't run into the thing where like, oh, I went back to Prospector's Pass and now I gotta have the same conversation.
Sure.
Okay.
Right now, there's some work tracked to show you when you have a level you've never seen before. I could see that stuff working together. Does level start and new level start make sense, or do you want, or is there a better way to say that?
I mean, I think it's. I think first time is better than new, but I don't think it's going to matter in the long run.
Yeah, do it this way. Oh, no, that's not correct at all.
I think we need a trigger that is that we may end up setting on our last step of any guided tutorial that is like tutorial end. Do you want an event to cover?
That would be an event.
Hold on one second. Just reading from the text. Do you want an event to cover an incorrect action during the tutorial? Something like previous step incomplete. So you're saying, oh, like make cheese, and you're like, F these guys, I'm making butter.
Philosophically, no. I don't like being dragged around by the nose, and I don't like being harassed when I'm doing something else. But I could see that that's a really useful thing. Again, I feel like anything that you allow me to do that's not the next step of a tutorial is there on purpose. We can add it if we discover we need it down the road, but I don't want to build it in from the start, I guess is how I feel.
I'm cool with that. Will likes his personal tutorial freedom. And I would disagree if I think my way of stating it is that I would rather a prescriptive tutorial be short and a little bit more rigid so that you can't do other things, and we are starting to control for that. I'd rather get the F out of your way sooner so that if we don't implement this from the start, we have to use the other tools to just like make it railsier going forward.
The best tutorials are tutorials you don't even know you're going through. So I like that the game will play the way it will play even during the tutorial. There's just some pointers coming at you through your phone and a highlight system.
It's so I don't want to like totally open the can of worms, but you know, we do need to make sure that someone of far less savvy inclination than us gets through it. And I agree with you in principle. I think an important thing to think about is that the most hands-on tutorialization is just going to happen in that first level. And I think it should be a design goal that we don't include anything else that needs quite so much hand-holding as just the basics. You know, a core of this game is that there's very few interactions in it. So I'm trying to think of a very practical example of when we would use this. And so one of the things we've discussed is like, all right, if we're going to build out new content types, they won't retroactively go into your existing save while you're randomly in some level. So if I added a brand new, like a way to build a house in your yard, and it's got 4 component parts. It's got the foundation, the walls, blah, 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 and it's got some extra features in it, then you wouldn't like retroactively during a save be able to do it. You'd have to go into a new level, and we'd make a new level that is for the teaching of it, that is where you unlock for the rest of the game the ability to do that thing. And in that level that's about house building, that's like the only case that I probably would from the start be like, Maury, take the wheel. Like that heavily. And if that's the case, then then it's more of a rule of like don't make things that are too complex all the time that require their own tutorial. That's the actual rule. That's the design rule where we bump up against it, where I'm like, all right, if it's not a whole new system, why is it requiring me to have someone hold my hand?
Yep.
And also, once you get through the tutorial, you know most of the core stuff. It's like if a new interaction happens, then even then we probably can get away with a less prescriptive way of teaching you, because you're going into a new level, and it could be something as simple as Maury sends you a text being like, yo dog, not that that sounds even remotely like his voice, yo dog, I got this new chisel. It's for making magical sculptures that like radiate bonuses to the things that are around them. And so you go into that level to get the magical chisel. Maybe it's in the yard somewhere and you got to unlock it. Maybe it's something that he just sells for something special. And then once you have it and you leave with it on the ground, you get an achievement that then unlocks it and makes it possible for you to build it elsewhere. That was me thinking out loud. Did that loop back around? Did that make sense when I got to the end of it? Because
I think so. Okay. I was typing. I was doing a lot of typing while you were talking, though. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I will take like one, AdMech machine in the back of your head cycle while you're
just doing your other shit. Work.
Yes.
One CPU cycle.
So the point here is that new features get bundled up into a level or a group of levels that we release with the feature. All the components needed to interact with that, and all the tutorialization happens there.
Yeah. Yep. Right. So I mean, all of this makes sense to me. And like, these are just useful. It's just useful to be able to interact with the player through the phone and provide information, even if it's not strictly for the purpose of teaching them things about this new bit, right?
Mhm. Correct.
Oh, that's not how you do that.
Not to digress. Um,
I'm ready to digress. I'm digressing into a bunch of typing.
Sweet. One of the other things got to talk to is like the road to early access, and where do you think this? To me, this is probably
This
not
post early access.
day zero early access. This is like
I want to know a little bit about how we're going to do this so that I don't make this road harder to get started on later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do. But just taking your temperature, I think we agree. Like, put this thing out like day zero. I think we're gonna have a pretty like soft early access launch, and we're not that far from it.
Yeah.
I personally think that having the Chivos work so that you can like grow into new levels and have new stuff and like start with more starting money on this harder level is like necessary. It won't be the full robust group of them, but there needs to be stuff for me to do in this level that makes it possible for me to do stuff in a different level. I think that has to be in there.
Yeah.
What else is like must have?
For early access?
Yeah.
I mean, the most extreme answer is like nothing. We could go into early access now. Like, right?
Yeah, but that's its own like. I'm asking you subjectively, as
I still think we want to stay the course we have for working out the meta loop of going from 1 yard to a new yard, transferring stuff that you have through the van, which is complete, and then the actual rewards for doing so, the achievements. So
can you bring up our list of
I want
our
you to be able
to-do
to
list?
like make let's see, where's my yeah, let me find it on this little window here.
Let's see what we got. Oh, Badger, you're such a like amazingly good soldier. When do you want me to play for 2 hours? That's where we're getting.
That's a pretty good testing session.
That is a pretty good testing session. You're the best. That's basically what we're getting to. So even before we get to early access, Badger, we're going to start updating the non-demo Steam build pretty soon, probably in a couple days.
Yeah, it sounds like the next build is going up.
Yeah, maybe
before. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah,
you say it. You say it.
I mean, it's
you have to make the build.
It's tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, like tomorrow or
like,
Monday.
Unless we run into something terrible tomorrow, and it'll be worth playing then. But there won't be any like carryover beyond what's in the van, and then from then on, like with Will and I like crunching on this thing. Not even crunching, such a bad word. We're not crunching. We're not working that many hours on it. But with us working full time, there's a very loaded game development term. With us working 40 hours a week, it's going to be fast and furious, the stuff that gets in there. Like we said, what did we say on Monday we were going to do?
I did everything that we said I would do.
I know that
Monday. It was something like
have 3 levels, be able to go through the tutorial, leave, pick a new level, go into that new level with the van loaded. Like
we started here on Monday.
Yeah, there's a realtor contact.
We didn't have the realtor on Monday, and we got through this.
Yeah,
all of this. And I was like on the fence about whether or not you would be able to carry over your items from the van.
So like it's popping now. I mean, the main thing is like Will and I over the
That was good.
course of a
Yeah, I was
day
actually was having to.
are just ding ding ding
Yeah.
ding ding. So I would say this weekend, Badger, almost certainly. What I am also going to do, drop this in there again.
Yeah, so for the rest to wrap up the rest of the stuff we sketched out for the meta loop, we're looking at 4 to 6 hours of coding time from me. Each yard has a set of characters that you can interact with, and right now it doesn't tell you which ones there will be, so we're gonna fix that. Some characters. Oh, I think we decided we were punting on this because we can't really um, lock characters, so there's not a reason to do that work right now. So even less than before then.
So a tomorrow or Monday build would be we're showing you what characters are attached to the map that you're going to. I'm not even sure we need that to even.
I was gonna say like I'm not. Yeah.
Ah, sugar.
That is great feedback.
That is amazing feedback.
Thank you.
Uh,
I think I just broke something. Okay. Yeah. So we do the characters, and not necessary to play the build as it is. Yards having a subtype. This doesn't matter until you have more levels. Like right now, there's only 3 levels, so those are the 3 that are going to show up. Again, entering the code doesn't matter right now because until we have more than 3 levels, you don't need the code to pick a secret level. Again, this is more about dealing with subtypes that we don't need. And then you can't unlock new yards, so there's no reason to show the new badge.
I just I did hit the copy button. Why is it difficult? All right, and just disable streamer mode. That's the ticket. Invite people. Edit invite link. Expire never. Yeah, we'll just say it. 100 uses. No limit.
Badger, it can be. What would a fjord look like in the game? Would it just have a lot of streams?
I think it would.
Yeah, the fishing level.
I don't know if that thing goes through. Hidden. Use copy button. What a derp.
So the stream / fishing level. Just the code. We'll probably have to mix it up a little bit so that that code has value when we disperse it to someone. Although maybe the level with lots of streams, it would be fitting to get the code for it by watching the stream.
Ha! Ha! I'll make them go to my other stream for it.
I think we could wait for showing the portraits on the levels. That did actually matter to me thinking about playing earlier. I like took items to a level that didn't really have the support for them.
Yeah, but get good. And I don't mean that dismissively.
There's certainly no cost to just packing up again.
What I mean is relative to like, is this Wednesday of next week or tomorrow? Like what you
tomorrow?
Yeah, I think what I'm getting at is
I'm getting the character portraits in pretty quickly, and then everything else on this list isn't necessary. It isn't making the build better right now because it's just future facing. It's stuff for when we have a ton of levels. Which that when we cross that bridge, it is up to you.
I think we can just go, and then I will just update it as you add chunks of stuff. Like 2 days later is going to be so much stuff every 2 days that I think I think we're getting on the train. There's just my point is that the amount of stuff we're knocking through, it makes sense to just get that thing rolling.
Yeah, going back to thinking about the weekly cadence, I think a weekly build makes sense. Doing more than a week is probably
Too much.
aggressive. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so what else? What else did you want to see over here? You asked me to switch over to the roadmap.
Yeah. So beyond just that, like small, like what are we doing today, tomorrow? Like we're essentially looking at early access. When I wanted to have like the actual list up, so that anyone watching is just like, well, what do you mean about these little sound bites of things? Essentially, it'll be the game that we have, but as you create stuff in your yard, it may apply to an achievement that Chivo, there's a Chivo app on the phone, um, and that could unlock a new yard, that could unlock a character if they're present on any specific, when I say yard, I mean level, on any level. Recipes could be locked from the start of the game, but unlock as you do these achievements. And these achievements check for things like stuff on the ground, like have 10 cows in the yard. So I go to this Chivo app and I track things like have 10 cows, 10 pigs, 10 chickens. And if I have that in my yard and I pack up and leave, then I get that Chivo. And from then on, rough example, raising animals takes half as much time. That's essentially all of this looks to me like Chivo stuff working at a baseline. We can get it in the game. Is there any section below this one?
There's no section below this one. I think this is what's left for going into early access. Oh, well, there's also this polish tab.
Where it always ends up on another tab.
Yeah. Yeah, the polish. I mean, some of this stuff is like carryover. And I've been chipping away at things like this in some of the cleanup time that I've budgeted. So again, like polish work is nice to have. It's not required for going into it, right?
Truth. Go to it though. Let's at
I
least.
need a minute
Yeah.
to do my own trip to Biology Town.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Can you go before you leave? Switch back to
Yeah.
that polish tab.
All right.
Yeah.
Polish tab. This is everything on it. All right. I'll be
Yeah.
right back.
All right. What do we got? Yeah, some of these are big. Helpful mouse icons. So one of the things we talked about before was like having the mouse pointer update based on the state of things that you're doing or what's underneath them. Drop a dragged item, a sound effect plays. That would be kind of nice. Or Foley work. When I click the mouse, not on the UI, burst dust appears. Yeah, that'd be good. Click the mouse, sound effect plays. That I'm a little worried about. I think it might be a lot. Van drives off, kiss up dust particles. Kind of needed. Yeah, this stuff is good to have. The reason why there's P2s in the P1 is we just haven't updated it. Moved the block. When I buy something from the shop, sound effect plays. Ooh. Yep. Yeah, some of these we really need to do. Question is, are they tap the brakes worthy? So I think the big question I'm going to ask when we get back is just like how. I don't think we are planning at all on like super publicizing day zero of early access. We have to go through all the hoops of just getting the thing up there and working, even despite like all the achievement stuff we described. Like I've got to go through all the loops on all the hoops on Steam to make it go, which I guarantee you is not just me pressing a go button. So the big question is like, if not the first build that's for early access, then when? And do we need to revisit this list and add to it? And for the sake of sanity, it's often really, really good intermittently to go to a list like this, curate it, and then go knock a bunch of these things out. Keeps you sane. Do they have a GL application or something for early access builds? I don't know what you mean by GL application. You mean game launch? Oh, greenlighting.
Hello.
There's no more controls on this. We don't greenlight anything. Yeah, so what they have, what screen am I on this one? We have a bunch of stuff in there up on Steamworks. And so there's like an account page. I'm not going to pop it up on the screen, but there's an account page that links to where our main game repo is, our demo repo. We've got the tools to upload to those. And then there's all the calendar type stuff. And there is a singular button that's like release to early access. I just don't think when you click it, it actually does it. All of our checkboxes are checked. Like the light, as far as I know, as far as I remember,
Yeah, you had to go. We had to go through review. They review your build.
Yeah, long ahead of time. So go to Chrome.
Reviewing the build is a one-time thing per product, basically.
Correct.
So
per SKU.
You don't need updates reviewed. You just need to go through review once.
Right. So the state in which the game needs to be is like it doesn't need to be feature complete, but it does need to like run and do the thing that you do in it. And I think the main thing they're checking is like, are you Bitcoin mining with this thing? Are you doing any like absolutely absurd YOLO stuff? So our store presence checklist is complete. Game build checklist is complete. I have to I got to update the store. I got a lot of asset work I got to do. The game looks drastically different than it did when we put the demo out months ago now. Sugar. I got stuff I got to do. So while you're away,
sobered moment.
I know. The sort of question I was musing over is how softly are we early accessing? I mean, obviously, I'll say like something on LinkedIn.
What do you mean by softly?
Okay, so
are we very quietly going into versus slamming the horn
versus power bombing it into a pile of thumbtacks? Like I'm thinking I will probably just like I will blog it. I will link to that blog on LinkedIn to let my friends know. I don't think I'll PR it yet. Like I don't think I'll put it out to news agencies yet. But I don't know. This is an important discussion because I was looking at the Polish stuff, and there's some really good stuff in there, and we probably should not only revisit that list for the validity and priority of what's in there, but also think about other little bits.
Yeah, tomorrow I have a running. I've been tracking like daily details differently, and so I need to kind of like fold them into this at the end of the week. So this will grow.
Yeah,
we'll have to do a prioritization pass on it.
Does it mean that like we get to the end of that achievements section and then we pick an amount of time to like add some juice?
Yep.
Like I think you could definitely like end up with like a pile of juice tasks, and I could end up with all the store presence mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
I don't want that time to be long, but
looking at what I penciled in here, these are pretty. Like this is a day, probably.
Word. Thing is, the thing with juicy stuff, juicing it up, is that we'd want it in there before I start cutting video for it.
True. True. Well, let's just sequence it that way. Like,
Yep. All right. Now, admittedly, like I don't need to make like 10 new videos. Screenshots are relatively easy. The fact that I've gone through that arc once, like we had to get the store page up and usable to even have the demo go. So I've at least done it once, and it was not fun.
yeah.
It's definitely not fun. There's a lot more formats of not formats, not like file formats, but like you need images this size, one that's this size. This thing's got to be over here. It can't overlap that. There's a lot of hoops to go through there, but leading up to that, like I've got a lot of like level work. I'm gonna have to do a bunch of UI stuff just to clean a bunch of things up and make them legible. Let's plan on a small window. It's basically we'll get the achievement stuff done. You'll start cracking on Juice. I will start cracking on video, and when it's ready, it's ready. Like, we'll
Yep.
put the word out on Discord. Be like, please play game a lot. Make sure we didn't break, and then we'll push the
Yep.
go button. And the achievement stuff isn't that much calendar time, is it?
So the low estimate, it's 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 time. It's time.
What's
we have to.
What's
we
the number?
have to break this down. So the low estimate was 24 hours of coding, and the high estimate is 47. Although I highlighted this row because I
You
was like,
you are no
maybe-
longer sharing it, so that's why.
Oh, I'm
I
not.
don't. Yeah.
What did I do?
Sorry, I didn't realize that you didn't realize. I thought you were like, you know what? I want my face as big as it can possibly be on this stream.
No, I never want that.
It's Will time. It's Will night at the Apollo.
It's me time. Okay, screen one. This one.
There we go.
Okay, so this. So all right, the low estimate, it ranges from 24 to 40-ish hours basically, and just to recap, I don't code for 40 hours every week. We try to work 40 hours a week, but really only 20 of that time is actual coding time.
Yep.
And so
My point though is that
worst
like
case scenario, like 2 weeks for the full achievement stuff.
we are like single digit working days away from having this stuff knocked out.
Yeah, I do, and I do the low and high estimates as a concession to unknowns, right? Like estimating tasks is hard, so I give a range rather than just trying to slam dunk one number and be wrong all the time. Most of the time we skew towards the low estimate though, and like it tends to even out where like one task I would grossly underestimate and then a couple other things would go by fast. So
I think the other thing is though, like I appreciate reality, and it's like if you don't give ranges, then like you can't work with it. No matter what, this amount of work is not like, oh my god, we can't go to early access for 2 months. Like,
no, it's
not that at all.
Yeah, estimates used to stress me out, and switching to like a low high approach, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's a lot more realistic. Like, I don't think certain people get pretty good at estimates, but most, I think it's important. Badger says real quick, I can schedule some game time. Just give me a bit of a heads up. I can record general play or intend to break or just whatever. Badger, I would appreciate that a ton. I will when we're ready to get the treatment, and it'll be soon. I'll message you directly. And yeah, absolutely take some video of it. And you can, I mean, at this point, I mean, you yourself can stream this, I think. How do you feel about that, Will? I don't care. We stream it ourselves.
Having Badger stream it?
Like, if you wanted to do it live, like, on the internet, just to have some content, I wouldn't have any problem with that.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, sweet. I'll ping you directly when we have a build up there that's good. That'd be super awesome and helpful.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
What did I interrupt myself with?
Well, we were working out tutorial system before we switched over to here. We were talking about estimates, doing low high estimates.
Yeah, low high estimates are good.
Talking about we're just on the road to early access thing in general. So
Yeah.
like
Estimates are
there's something like 2 weeks maybe of achievements work. There's like a day of polished juice tasks, and then there's some a big grindy store update phase. Right?
yeah. So to look into my crystal ball, what I think is going to happen.
We're also asking like how hard we want to hit the horn.
Yeah.
Go into early access.
I think we get to the end of this task list that is on this sheet, and then we just go into day by day mode, and it's not going to be one day. But we just like in the morning we're like,
what do you mean by day though? What's happening? What are we choosing day by day?
Do we want to do another day's progress?
Yes. Okay.
Or not? And it certainly won't be one day, because at that point I'll be like, well, crap, look at all these icons I'm going to make for these things. And oh, a couple of them changed because Badger played the game broke it. So this achievement can't exist anymore. There'll be a little bit of that, but frankly, I think we'll be able to just judge in our stand up in the morning of like, here's the next things we would each do today. Do we really want to do them, or do we want to just YOLO it?
Okay. Yeah. I know it's really easy for me to get in that like one more thing mode.
Me too.
So.
But you know,
that's why we put all these tasks on the list here, and then you know we probably how deep did you go last time for Next Fest? Like P0s and P1s were done, but
it was a little bit variable because there's such a window before Next Fest actually happened, that we were able to just like update stuff as well. But we were very locked into what the demo experience was going to be, so there's a decent amount of tweaks and changes that happened. I will tell you that, you know, perfection is the enemy of good, and the chances of Deeps making it into Fishing Fest on June 16th are relatively shallow, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
That's the enemy.
That timer is crazy.
Yeah, that's not happening. This is like the hard part of this, of like, we gotta get stuff out there, and frankly, like, I just want other people that I like, someone in some country I've never been to play the game and say something that's broke about it or something that's good and we should do more about it. And it's scary, but like we gotta get in front of people.
For sure. Yeah. If we're serious about hitting Fishing Fest in the middle of June, my schedule needs to change pretty soon.
And we're not.
It's
not happening.
Okay.
That is the price.
Fly away, little opportunity.
Indeed.
You may go.
Indeed.
Unwinding my mental stack of things. One of the things about this particular list is that this pair of tasks were super heavy, and we designed the UI a little bit more in a more detailed way. So I need to come back here and break this down like we did for this. We basically did the same thing for the realtor in Picnic's yard screens. We need to do that for this arc of work when it's getting a little bit closer. And then these estimates will get much better, because breaking down things further makes them more accurate.
Word. All right, let me go back to our list of important talking points. They're not talking points, they're meeting points.
Yeah, well, so we've got, I'm going to F1 in that one. I'm pretty comfortable with like what we had, like just like sketching out that we've done so far. before we totally put this in the rear view,
Mm-hmm.
are there any other trigger types or any other tutorial actions, or really they're like narrative actions? Are there any other types of actions that you know that we don't need?
I think we may get variants of these when we make new stuff, but I do think this covers everything we've got. Like the case of like, oh, there's a new housing level. Like we may have to add another one because of just how it works.
Sure.
But I think we're good with these.
Okay. All right. So shut that down. Here we are in Miro. Yeah. What else was on the list?
Deeps. Speaking of deeps, game two. It's technically somewhere on the internet exists. There's a build somewhere. Last week when we talked about it, it was like, hey, we got to make like a repo for it, and
Yeah.
we were talking some engineering mumbo jumbo about packages and stuff. Do you want to go over what the result of that is?
Yeah. So I ended up getting really mired in Unity's system for sharing code between projects, and I got through it. Like in coding land with Microsoft and the .NET stuff that we use, there's a really great ecosystem for packages, and you can share them between projects pretty easily. I'm very comfortable with that from past jobs, and Cruft uses that already. What Cruft hadn't been using until now was a system for sharing Unity code. So if I'm in a Microsoft library, I can't use Unity's code. I don't have access to the Unity engine or the Unity editor DLLs. There are fancy things you can do, but I'm not going to get into that. I don't really know how to do those yet. So anyway, so I had to figure out a way to share some of the basic stuff that we're doing in Cruft and apply it to Deeps. There's no sense in writing these basic systems twice. And I like the idea of sharing that code between the two projects, because if I improve something while I'm working on Cruft, then the road to applying that improvement to Deeps is a lot less friction.
What's a good example of something you want to share? Because this is where like
so
I get off the understanding boat, and this requires an actual engineer, not some hack like myself.
The main thing I wanted to share is the logging system. That was the first.
The Goon Core.
Yeah, the Goon Core. Yeah, so that one is should be here now. Yep, got a log handler. So this is just, I mean, it's really it's really the small thing.
We didn't redefine the term goon. That happened under our feet. Is what it is.
I have no.
So tiny little segue. I tried to get a Facebook account for this company and I failed, and it like banned me because I put Go on Entertainment, and I'm pretty sure it just stripped the spaces out of the string and was like, nope.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I totally disrespect all of that. There's a dirty meaning to every word.
We
Anyways,
both
yeah. So the log system is one of the things I wanted to bring over from Cruft. I'm used to the format. I put some effort into logging info in a certain way. It's really useful for debugging things, and I didn't want to redo any of that work. And I didn't want to copy the code between the two projects. Like, it's really easy to just copy a file over and now I have it. But then if I make a tweak while I'm working on Deeps, then I have to like resolve differences with the version of that file in Cruft, and there's a better way. This is the better way. I just needed to figure out how to set up the Unity package system. So now we have that. So the things we've brought over are a utility for measuring how long a function is taking and logging it, the more general formatting of log messages, and then this sprite cache. So this is when some bit of code needs to get a sprite, instead of having to load the resource directly wherever it's accessed. This handles that job by loading it if it's never been requested before, and then saving it in memory for any future suitors that come asking for the same sprite. So these are all relatively simple and basic things, but having the place for sharing code makes it easier in the future. If I go, oh, I wrote a function for shuffling a list, I could use that in any game, and I'm gonna drop it in the package then, so that Deeps can now shuffle lists as well as Cruft does.
Do you like shuffling things?
I love shuffling things. I love randomizing things. All the different RNG stuff I think is super cool.
How far off do you think? I love putting you on the spot with like weird broad estimates. How far off do you think we are from actually like building any content out for Deeps?
Let's see. I have a list of things that we generated from last time. Let me pull that up. The Deeps roadmap. All right, this one. Yeah, so here's how far we are. Getting the core package took twice as long as I thought it would. That basically was all I did on the last Friday I worked on it. Yeah, so this this is another like I'll do this task and you still won't be able to see anything.
Sweet.
And then we start working on actual stuff. Worst case scenario, like I'm putting 4 hours into Deeps tomorrow. I'll probably be able to show a critter in some like abstract programmer way by the end of the day.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, there'll be an aquarium. It will have some internal concept of a depth level, and there will be some concept of a critter that can be drawn on the screen. There won't be any guts to it yet, I guess, unless those other tasks go faster. Yeah.
So philosophically, I like strongly believe that it's important to work on more than one thing at a time. I don't think it's good to like work 50-50 between two things.
Yeah, the context switching. So, like, thinking about how last Friday went, the context switching was a little painful. I was like, and I was really frustrated with the task. I was like, oh, this sucks. But
context switching to something you don't
that
like is generally twice as painful. It's just general switching.
It's not that I don't like it. It's I'm just context switching back to an empty yard. I've got like I've got nothing over here. So it's just less. It's less exciting to work on that because it's longer to get to this point that you're asking about, where there's something I can show.
Yeah, the tangible I can show something is the like deepest, most motivating.
Yeah, and maybe what I need to do is restructure or resequence these tasks so I get to that hit quicker. I think this is probably fine though, with there being some critter on the screen by the end of the day. So
yeah, I mean it's 4 hours a week. Like you also have to like
really small.
There's a reason why, like we have a game already to put, but I strongly believe that like being more forward. I'm going to get super soapboxy, but like I think it's why a lot of game companies struggle is that they put all their eggs in one basket and then they release the thing and then they're sort of at the whim of whatever the state of the world is and how good a thing they made was. And then every studio that I've worked on, when like you're done with something, as much as stuff goes into live ops now and all that, it's like you end up with this weird lull where people get let go, or people end up twiddling their thumbs for a long period of time. And I think, for you and I to sort of, if we can reach a steady state where we're not living on the streets and stealing apples from the market to feed our families doing this. We have to constantly be like in a loop where I foresee, you know, Cruft has a lot more time and effort to go into it. Um, but also, you and I do different tasks, like at different times. And so, a lot of what we're doing right now in Cruft is Will building things up in such a way that I can then go nuts and build content. And once we have the systems in for achievements, right now we can make more maps. I can certainly make better drawings of what those maps look like in the selection screen. I can already go in and like tweak UI stuff. Um, but what he's doing is setting the stage for a long content phase where I can start wielding all the stuff we've built. Which, like, yeah, we could just think of every super system possible to add to the game and be like, Will, what do you think about this? And Will could be like, you know, I always wanted like rideable horses in Cruft, and we could do that. But we haven't gotten any feedback on the full game yet. So like, you know, that's betting a lot,
Yeah.
shooting in the dark.
So much of what you see in the broader game industry are humongous bets on one product, and it's just unrealistic. It's just it's a hit driven business. So what matters is times at bat, shots on goal, that kind of sports analogy BS.
And also like leaving yourself open enough in terms of what the future is locked in on, that like we could get a lot of people that start playing Cruft and say, you know what Cruft really needs, and it's a thing we didn't think about, and we have the sort of flexibility because we're not designing it into a corner. Like it could be day one, people are like, now I desperately want housing. Well,
yeah,
that means we don't have to guess what like the next important thing is for the game. We can just react, knowing that people want it. And how that sort of circles back around to Deeps is that like if you just sit on one thing, and don't get me wrong, I love Dwarf Fortress, I love it, but that game is intended to be the biggest thing of all time that can have things added to it and updated for decades. You know, our philosophy is like, let's think of something cool and novel and get it out to people, and then think of something else that's cool and novel and get it out to people, and see which of those see which gets traction, and like put effort into those things, based on what players say about like what is live and in their hands, not based on like speculative marketing. And I love No Man's Sky, but like that's what they ran into, was all their eggs in one basket. Now I got to promise all these things, and I'd rather just like come up with a neat idea,
yeah,
get it out there, and then work on it.
Share early, share often. You just get more power when you have more people looking at things and sharing feedback. We're small and we can't afford to just be like in the tower working like a couple of auteurs, right?
Yeah, and we just have to work fast.
So yeah, and I love that we're thinking about this and putting 4 hours towards Deeps, even if like I feel pained going from Cruft, where I feel generally productive, to Deeps, where I'm like, oh crap, there's a bunch of stuff missing. Because like we've been in situations many times, right, where like, you know, your whole team has your whole team acts like the world ends after launch, right? Like nobody's thinking about what happens after launch. Nobody's talking or planning for what happens after launch. And then after launch, things don't go great and you all lose your jobs, right? It's like, that's happened to me many times.
Indeed.
In the game industry. So
per Badger, 8 hours from now on that list, there's going to be a very nice screensaver / aquarium feeder sim. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, that's the thing I want to be careful of. Like, yeah, like one half day's worth of work, you're like got nothing to show for it, but that's 4 hours of work. Like that's literally just setting the project up. I mean, we're very quickly going to get to something that we can mess around with. I'll just leave it streaming 24/7. Just try to like capture a bunch of views with just this weird rotting fish tank. Fish traps and hydroponics. Do you mean those are things that we should add to it, or are those suggestions? I'll wait for the big loop of like the actual stream to get out to the universe before chat gets back. So, I mean, I'm pleased. Like, I don't know that we'd be able to juggle three things right now, but like Will and I have. That was my thought. Sorry, that was Cruft thought. Sweet.
Nice.
I
Oh, that reminds me. Go ahead though.
we have a lot of ideas. That's the other thing. Like, if you're gonna take so much risk as to not collect a paycheck anymore and gamble on the fact that you could make your money back,
Wild idea. Who would do that?
we should we should we should do the novel things that make sense for an indie studio to do. Deep Stream, Traps, Hydrocraft. Yeah, eventually both games will talk to each other.
I think that's actually a fantastic side effect of having two, you know, games in the works, because you can start planning these little crossover things, and there can be some continuity between them that just can't exist
Unless
as
you
easily.
unless you own all the, lofty term, but IP around them. Like, we own these games. We could in theory
Yeah.
make something that talks to all the games we ever make in the background, as long as you got an internet connection and does stuff. I'm not saying we want to do that, but
Well, yeah.
but we could.
Oh, that's a whole different level than what I'm talking about. Like, we can do foreshadowing for Deeps in Cruft because we're working on Deeps while we're working on Cruft.
Indeed.
Like, kind of like what Badger was saying, where like he's throwing out Cruft brainstorm ideas.
PR rejected. Good to see you, Sectrix.
Hello.
Wow, once Sectrix shows up, the bots show up with him.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Coincidence?
It's extremely suspicious.
Sectrix, his other name being Streamboo.
Yeah.
No, it's not our first bot. Whenever Sectrix shows up, we get laden.
Stream Boo shows up like has showed up once each time we've done this.
It needs to balance me with cheap viewers. That's true. Which it is. You're very your density and quality as a viewer is pretty high, so it does need to offset it. I think it just waits till you have X number of viewers, and then it pops. It's good to see you, buddy.
We do have PRs, but nobody reviews them. So we've talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, talked about a lot of things.
Going back to the list of things to talk about. Talking about Deeps. What else were we specifically going to talk about in Deeps?
I mean, I think it was important to just sort of like show progress, but like show the kinds of things that you do have to get started with before you even get started.
I remember.
Yeah.
The other choice we had to make was to go to Unity 6.1.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah.
Cruft is on a totally different version of Unity. It's on some LTS edition from 2022 or something. And Unity 6 is a pretty big upgrade. They're marketing it very hard. They have a lot of changes to the rendering pipelines and a bunch of other systems. One of the ones that we're using extensively in Cruft is the new sort of UI paradigm, UI Kit, which uses sort of like a web dev centric view of things. There's style sheets now. It's a more modern way of binding code to UI elements, but it is like woefully incomplete in 2022. So I'm hopeful that it's better in Unity 6. Actually, and this is a thing we can discuss now, Z, because we talked about just going back to the old UI paradigm for the next game because we just didn't like UI Kit. Right?
Oh my god, yeah, it was brutal. Brutal. We did talk about like also just like, well, maybe we're so used to it that it'll feel fine. I don't think it will. I think
I'm probably going to get there. I like it because it is similar to other things. It's not it's not just like this Unity rolled paradigm that's only useful if you're using Unity. it's a poor implementation of CSS, which has its own
But it's better
problems,
than a
like
poor
stuff that works
implementation
in
of a
CSS.
goat.
Right, exactly. It's a better implementation of somebody's wild idea.
Yeah, and when you send over the change list of stuff, it's like, all right, like Unity's terribly slow with a lot of things, but a lot of the stuff on that list was like, oh, that would be a lot better. Yeah, what version were we on anyway? 2022?
22.3 got a bunch of patches.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've improved it since then. That's good. YOLO.
Yeah, like the UI looks a little different. We can actually kind of side by side it if you want.
We also, flat out said for Deeps, like it's going to be like minimalist UI for exactly the same reason. Like, how much time do we like? There's a couple things. Actually, this is a good thing to talk through. Is that one, like, how much time do you want to spend doing UI stuff? Cruft is a UI game. I mean, your yard is an inventory system. There's a bunch of lists that you're picking stuff from, buying and selling. It's intentionally that way, and so we signed. We're definitely signed up for UI work. Very hard to put Cruft on a phone and have it be sensible, even legible. I mean, it's possible, but we're not doing. If the game took off, we'd pay someone else to suffer through that. Deeps, not a lot of lists. Played very horizontal, swipe motions, a lot of like physical interactions that are gesture based. Not a lot of them, but like that is the core of of the verbs that you do in it. There's not a lot of like, I need to shop for something in a list of 30 things. Some of that is just like bumping your head up against the UI system you don't, regardless of if it's good or bad, that you just don't enjoy doing. It's like you should probably make games that you're going to enjoy making.
I mean, I wouldn't say I don't enjoy UI stuff. Like coding a game is a ton of UI work.
I'm not saying you don't enjoy UI. I'm saying that the most readily available Unity system to do it has not exactly enhanced that enjoyment.
And I've been saying this from the start that like it's just hard to feel great about your work when you're learning as you're going with UIKit, for example.
Yeah, no, that's true.
For me, that's what it is. It's just I just want to feel like I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And then when you know what you're doing, you get jobs done faster, and when you're getting jobs done, you feel great. So this is all very like sensory, selfish stuff, right? Like,
which is important.
Sure. I mean, I work faster when I feel good about the way things are going, but I don't know that changing the way we're doing, like switching to a different UI paradigm will help, right? Now there's just a different one that I got to learn.
No, that's true. I guess what I'm saying is that like with Unity updating their UI toolkit and our next game very much like not being as dependent on things like crazy lists that we signed up for, with Cruft, it's a different experience making a game. Like it just straight up is, and it has other very strong, like there's no plan of putting Cruft on mobile. There's just none. Deeps could, and as we design systems for it, like we're gonna be designing with that in mind. Like, like not having to flip that checkbox mentally while putting stuff in, I think was good for Cruft to get it where it needed to be. Having to flip that restricts design UI wise and Deeps, but I think it's cool. I'm once again going to duck out, leave you high and dry.
All right. Maybe it's the nice, cool blue color I chose for the Deeps background that's led to this result. Yeah, really, I just need to figure out how much of this crap I can delete. There's so much junk in the new project. Let's just delete crap while it's the way. Where's all this? AI navigation. Really not going to do mesh navigation. Things are just going to float around in 2D space. This is probably not necessary. First compiler. Collection. What is this? Oh, more support for the first compiler.
Gonna start wearing a diaper for this stream.
Custom and unit build. Oh, this is for tests. Cool. It's a Mike Watts song called Piss Bottle Man. Got a tradition. Keep in my truck cab. I'm just looking at stuff that's been rendered into the project automatically on creation to see what I can delete. Probably don't need this. Can I package manage these things away?
I mean, for people that have never like worked with Unity, I think it's important to like recognize like how much stuff you do in setup to be like, I need this, I don't need that. You don't have to do all those things. I want to make sure that like, you know, if there's someone watching, be like, I'm just kind of thinking about making my own game, like out the gates. If you're just getting started, like Unity at default's like, hey, this is a 2D project or a 3D project, whatever. It's pretty sound. Once you get to a level where like you understand how a lot of stuff works, like you can tweak it and choose like, I don't want these packages in there and stuff like that. So it does make sense once you're familiar to like, before everything gets started, like rip some stuff out. But I do want to stress, like, if someone's out there like, oh, like I was going to download Unity and like, when do I actually get started? Do I have to know all this stuff? You know.
Yeah, no. If I was like just trying to get something going, you don't have to delete anything. It doesn't end up in your build unless it's used. So I just like having a tidy place to work from.
Yeah, Will is the other side of the coin. Will's the tidy one.
Yeah.
I'm the slob.
I even destroyed my shelf in the pursuit of tidiness.
Indeed.
That's a lie. I didn't destroy it on purpose.
All right.
Oh, look, we can remove Unity UI. That's amazing. That's the other UI paradigm that we were talking about going back to.
I wouldn't do that just yet.
I'm not going to.
Okay. Safety first.
I might remove visual scripting though. Get that.
What is that? What does that rip out?
All right, fine. I won't. Just because you asked, I won't.
What matter to me?
Did you ever play with Kismet in Unreal?
No.
It's like visual scripting is like, instead of typing code, you have a graph and you drag some box on, and then wire connect one of the nodes to another node, and that creates behaviors.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's. I've messed with things like that. I just haven't messed with Kismet.
Yeah, it's a great tool, but it's not for me.
Yeah. You probably end up using it for animation stuff in Deeps, but
I'll probably have to because but that's a different thing.
It is a different thing.
Yeah, their animation state stuff is all also done in a visual way. Badger, are you asking about object-oriented programming, or are you making eyeglasses emoji? and I'll wait for a response on that one.
I will also hijack this and let you know that I believe it is Saturday that the new codex drops for Death Guard.
Must be nice.
It is pretty nice. It's also when my box of new toys shows up.
Ooh, nice. I have to replace my shelf so that I can get all the board games out of the way so I can get back to my painting desk. Right now it's just covered in stuff that used to be on the shelf I broke.
See, if you were a slob, your painting desk and your work desk would be the same desk, and there couldn't be anything in the way. I know.
I would be less efficient if actually this desk is pretty cluttered right now, and I should clean it up because I just work by it. Yeah, object oriented programming, Badger, is what we're doing. That's that everything behind the most games is object oriented.
Yeah. So, essentially, most of the files that we have are just like, hey, here's a class, and
yeah,
here's the components of that class. There's a bunch of functions you run, and it's good that way. Like that's what I went to school for. I mean, it's obviously pretty prolific stuff, um, but it just keeps things organized in a way. Like it allows you to exclude things and not just have one heaping pile of do this, do this, do this. And as far as like organizing a project, like all the files within it, it just allows you to not step on each other's toes a ton. And it allows you to reuse like the same thing over and over and over and over again in a very good way.
Yeah. Somebody described it to me as actually like making analogies. Like you're just creating digital systems that need to correlate to something. So really like you're analogizing whatever you want the behavior in the game to be. So we have a bunch of analogies in our game, like locations and items and shops, characters. None of these are the actual things that they're named after, but they're models of it, right?
Crack some of that open. We got 15 minutes. I mean, I think sort of explaining that out a little bit.
You're talking about. I was just getting the corrupt Miro up.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. That works too.
Because there's some handy diagrams somewhere in here.
I would make one massive switch case. I would do that. No, I wouldn't. That's not even cool for me.
Yeah, here we go. The spaghetti time. This is not like a This is not like a formal engineering diagram, but this is sort of trying to map out the different general concepts we use to run the game. We use a pattern called model view controller, so to separate the visual stuff you see in the view code versus the actual important logic in the controller code. And then the model layer is actually everything that Z enters into spreadsheets. That forms the data that actually decides like how big a yard is and what items might be there and all that. But separating all that stuff out makes it more maintainable. And this spaghetti is sort of how those all relate. So we have shops in their views, which are then related to the shop controller. And all the arrows show which of these systems depend on each other. So for example, the unlock controller can use the shop controller to unlock new shops, right? Like it's a very complicated way of doing what you expect the game to do.
The thing is, once you separate stuff out like this, now someone like me can go in and just like database up any number of locations or stations. In fact, like can you just crack open maybe I'll just steal the screen from
you. Yeah, what do you want to see?
Where did I move that?
Here's the model controller.
If I was to, that's where it went, of course. I was to steal the screen. Now, entire screen. Screen 2, that looks good. Let me just go over here and make sure that I've cleaned anything up that I need to. 11, there we go. So this is just an example. But like once we have like in an object-oriented sense, the concept of recipes in code, they all have, all these properties that are in them. It needs an ID name, needs a player facing name, which is an actual string that shows up to the player, how long things craft for. I could just, to my heart's content, I could just add a bunch of stuff in here. And these are all, making a recipe doesn't make it usable in the game. What it does is make it possible to be usable because it has to be attached to a station. So there's a stations uh, table that then associates recipes that I put in here that are legal and usable, attaches them to a station. So when you go to a plant plot and you're like, hey, I want to grow, or you go to an animal pen and you're like, hey, I want to make a cow. All the information needed for that is here, and then I attach this R for recipe underscore cow A to that station, and it works. But it's exactly the same thing for me to make smoked queso. I'm just going to attach it. We go through the same process, but I'm going to attach it to the smoker instead. And so you can just incrementally blow the game out to having all this stuff. I'm going to stop presenting.
Yep. Yeah, and the model, so that's all the model layer. You're literally modeling objects with our data. The controller code knows how to interpret that data and surface what matters to other systems and allow you to interact with it. So when I execute that recipe, the controller then says, it looks in the data and goes, gee, how long does this recipe take? Do you have the stuff it is required to craft it? And then it'll go ask some other system like, hey, what does the player have? Do they have enough to craft this thing? And on, right? And all of that is happening before the. I'm like huge right now, aren't I?
You're like multiple. Just duck that window out.
Am I presenting?
You are now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So that's a little bit about how all of it works. There's actual game data in the model level. The controller classes interpret that data and surface it to other systems. And the view is the part that actually makes something appear on screen. And that's how we keep things clean, organized, and sliced up.
And it also, that's where it circles back to, when I say, hey, like Will's not going to have to be doing as much work on Cruft at some point and should be working on more fundamental stuff for Deeps, is that, as we sort of come to a close, like the next stuff that we're working on as achievements, they're going to work in that same way, where once the system works and it has all the inputs and outputs, that's sort of just metaphorical what an achievement is, I go into a table and I don't need to bother Will anymore because he doesn't make bugs. And I go in and I just start making these chivos out and attaching them to different objects that are in the items table or in this or in that, or however it's laid out. And it allows us to we have a different sort of, there's ebbs and flows to when we each are contributing to any specific system, but it quite often allows us to just stay out of each other's way. So we'll take some time to work on, perfect example, like there's nothing I can do with Chivos in the game right now. What we've done is we've discussed how it's going to work, and then Will's going to go do the engineering part of it. But right now, I got to do stuff with maps and map balance because the last thing that Will did was make it possible to go to new maps and load stuff in the van and all that. So there's sort of like a passing a bunch of different balls back and forth. It's a two-man juggling operation, but it's really good in that regard because once all the systems are intact, then I could just go make stuff, and then Will moves on to the next thing. And that could be another feature in Cruft. But we have these like big moments of, it was literally this morning that you could put stuff in the van and have it show up in the next level. Pretty big. Now that happens, I go back and I play these levels that I made and I'm like, oh crap, this plays very differently now that I can load up a forge or an anvil into my van and go to this other level that is not about metalsmithing at all, and break it in a good way.
Yeah, it's kind of why I can say like once I can handle one, we can handle infinite, because I just make the general system work, regardless of how that model is constructed. It's sort of like the mathy variable part.
And it does, it makes it necessary to plan quite a bit. Um, a lot of what, in fact, these specific meetings are, when we sort of like, discuss around. I mean, last meeting we put together a bunch of like the UI around this, so we're on the same page. I know what's going in. Will knows what's going in. He can go off and work and make it go. It's. I mean, we essentially just drew this screen out last meeting, right?
Yep.
Yep. All little buttons in it.
Here, let's might be a little bit fun.
Oh yeah, it's in the Miro. Miro's awesome.
All right. How did we do? Oh, it's not lined up. It's oh no. Yeah, close enough.
Yeah,
There's definitely, actually, I'm glad I did this because these are way bigger than the mock-up, and there's no room for the extra secret level.
It's true.
To be jauntily pasted onto the side there. The Let's Go button ended up inside the frame because I didn't want this whole thing to shift when you go from having nothing selected to the button appearing. If we care, we could definitely go back to the way that the wireframe does it. I just have to make sure that there's some padding that occupies the space.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you went for much bigger pictures, but the point is this is the first pass of it. It's now in there. Either of us can go in because all the components are being found and placed and like move stuff around, resize it. I can absolutely go in and make like semi-legitimate art for them. But the main reason there's these little scribbles there is that the actual, like, does the game know that the picture it's going to show for Prospector's Pass, does it pick the right one? So a lot of it is like that first pass, you just like make sure all those plugged in object-oriented connections are there. And then you can riff on it. And I think that's similar, another callback of like you have to get a version 1 of something done before you can riff on it. And so over designing stuff, this isn't rocket science what we're doing. We can design a UI for something in one meeting and have something up and usable a couple business days later that's hooked up and real, and then consider like how to prettify it later. And being able to do that is like very important.
I almost never I try not to really spend time on the visual aspects of all this stuff. Like these boxes are hastily aligned and the text inside them is ridiculously small. Like what, like who's going to read this farm to table text at this size? But that's not my problem right now, right? Like I'm just trying to get everything functional and then leave the graphical visual stuff to Z.
And in a lot of cases,
I've got more shit to make functional.
In a lot of cases also, like unless the interface is something that you're specifically innovating on or like positing something, which does happen a lot. Like if you think about like your cell phone, like the whole Apple experience is a very like UI centric thing. They spent tons of time wireframing out and philosophizing over like how far the buttons need to be from each other. We're not building that. And it doesn't mean that we're like, well, we're just building something cheap. Doesn't matter. The point is, for a game, quite often, you want to have a minimalist version up so you can click through it and see things you couldn't have anticipated.
Yeah. Again, share early, share often. If I spent 3 hours making this look great and we realized after testing it that it was garbage, like that would have been 3 hours wasted.
Yeah, like Will mercilessly put the name of the map in the middle so it would be over the beautiful art that I did. If I had spent a week on each one of these images, and I gotta tell you, I'm never spending a week on any of
Nothing
these
but
images.
disrespect. Yeah.
But like that kind of thing where you're like, oh, like by looking at this, I go, I'm pretty sure that I want the name of the map and the size. I want the size to be labeled. I desperately don't want it inside the map because it sort of implies on a square size starting building area that that's how much area you have to build at the start. Like I can go through the first time I played it this morning, I was like, ah, okay, this is what I actually want. And so by not spending too much time trying to predict exactly where stuff should be and just getting it in, it allows you to interact with it and hopefully make the right call. Fast and Furious.
What did you say? You wanted the size, you wanted the dimensions to be labeled, right?
The dimensions are labeled. They're labeled inside the image. I think that the size and the name need to be outside of the image.
Oh, okay.
And I think you're using an internal border for highlighting purposes. I think it needs to be external.
It does that on the market and dump buttons, and it like makes the whole UI shift, which I hate. That's why I went with internal.
But it shouldn't have to shift. You should be able to clamp it so that it doesn't shift
Yeah.
in the UI thing.
Yeah, I'll
Like
have to figure out how to do that
Yeah.
properly. Where did
Yeah.
so we want the
What is that
dimensions
multicolored thing you're looking at?
outside? This is the test image. Yeah, okay, so the thumbnail in the UI builder is just penciled in with a placeholder image. That's what the wildly multicolored thing is.
But the purpose of it being multicolored is that it
I didn't have your awesome art when I was sketching this out, so what is it called? Level underscore something? Let's put a
Map.
real one in. Map.
the point of a screen of an image like that though is that you can blast out where things will be in screen space. That wasn't the purpose of that one for this, but then you can tell
There.
what will be off screen and not in very loud gradient colors.
Does this do it? No.
Anywho, I believe we've
There we
hit
go.
time.
We have. You want where does the name go?
The name
We have one
is
more
aligned top left, and the size is aligned top right.
Okay.
Will, do you have any closing thoughts?
I have no thoughts other than God, UI kit's annoying. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no, I mean, I felt like this week went well. I felt good about the progress that we were able to show over the last 2 days.
not a
This is
bad.
why I quit. This is why I quit my job.
Yeah, it is very nice to be able to show progress day by day. So to wrap up, hopefully we'll get some new Steam builds out, maybe as soon as tomorrow, maybe Monday. Get on that train rolling, and then we're looking at what could be single digit work days before we softly and quietly drop this thing into early access. And then we'll see where the journey takes us from there. I think Deeps, we're looking at, maybe after another day or two of work, like little aquarium with things in it or thing in it. So quick progress.
Yeah. It'll be really energizing to have, builds going out and people testing it.
Indeed.
And by people, I mean Badger.
The savage. If you're sitting on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, all that stuff.
Nice.
If you're on
Glad you
Twitch
remembered
right
this.
now, Show up as often as you can. Chat a ton. That's how you get to affiliate. I appreciate everybody hanging out. These meetings are so much better with other people in there.
Yeah, thank you so much for chatting and chiming in.
They're
sharing
fun.
everything
They're
that
fun
comes up.
meetings when we have them like, off camera, but they're much better with people in them. It's cool like that. It's like having your friends show up at the office every day. It's pretty sweet. Badger. You got it. Folks, I'm going to hit the magic button that shuts all of this off. We will see you on Monday. Thanks for watching. Ciao.